Hey the rulers, GMO73 here, bringing you the deck profile for Tyler Tompkins' Gil Lapis Giotto Rush. Let's go ahead and jump right in. Ruler School is brought to you by Odyssey Games, where you can go to pre-order upcoming Force of Will sets, ccgprime.com for singles and supplies, cardodoko.com for those rulers in the international market looking for product, and to our guest lecturer members, Vite Ramen. Class is in session. So here is the list. As always, you can find a link directly to the list over on Force of Wind in the description if you want to tweak it around for yourself. But we are playing a Gio Lapis Rush list. This is definitely more of an aggro style list. You can definitely play Gio Lapis as more of a control shell. Certainly some options to be able to do that. But this is a rush down list. Tyler likes to play aggro. He played aggro. This list, essentially, Giotto is a glorified barrier seal that can call stones. She's not really doing much. You're not really using her for anything other than the fact that she's removing cards from the game to set you up for the tools that Gil Lapis wants. Now, this deck is playing 1 copy of Empty Vessel in the sideboard and 3 in the main because it wants to see it. It is a very, very important card. It produces mana on the sub-ruler side. It lets you flip up those cards from the RFG to make use of them for Gil Lapis, all kinds of stuff, and it makes your cryptids really good. The extension rule here, one thing that we weren't doing a lot is remembering that you can play once per turn, you can play a cryptid from your graveyard. So if your Ashwin gets killed, you can just recast it. And then also you draw a card whenever a cryptid enters the field under your control. So that's something to note about the spell that we just kind of weren't super optimized with because we were still practicing it when we saw the feature match, but it is a little bit of an additional advantage. Going in there, the shell's kind of straightforward. One thing to note is you're probably not playing this Lunar Throne. You certainly can because it makes some tokens and also can remove, it can buy you some cards back. But you're certainly not playing the cycle like we used to before because they're not getting the 2 modes since you're not solo mode. So it's just a one of as a tech, but it's pretty easily replaceable. 4 copies of Ashwin. This card is insanely good. Could certainly be used in a lot of tools. Probably could have been used a little bit more advantageous to kill me faster in the feature match. Just an excellent way to be able to burn your opponent, rush them down with getting, extra, because the 0 cost ability doesn't have a limit, so you can do it multiple times, and with multi-strike, that plus 100 actually becomes, plus 200, which is a lot. Playing 3 copies of Cryptid of Tenacious Fire and 1 copy of Searing Dead. I honestly don't know if you might want to swap these to play 3 Searing Dead and 1 Cryptid of Tenacious Fire just for some additional possible burn, because you get a Cryptid whenever Ashwin comes in, which is pretty good. 2 copies of Dante Enters the Game of Gods for some more hand refill, as well as Dark Alice. Copies of Bloodfire Battlefield because it serves as a board wipe in a sense against green stuff and can let you stop stuff from resolving, essentially. 4 copies of Lucifer Defeated One Wing because it's some additional burn and rush, and quick cast is always good, plus it rips your opponent's hand if it gets destroyed. 4 copies of Hue. It's not super huge here but it does generate additional bodies, and it does at least make it so you have this pseudo lockout for a turn as you're trying to rush your opponent down. 2 copies of Girl Staring At, which you saw Tyler use to a maximum effect against me in those matches. 2 copies of Lumia, just for some additional spot removal and life gain if needed. And then 2 copies of Infantry, and 2 copies of Tinkerbell, and 2 copies of High Speed, just for some additional utility. And then that last spice was the 2 copies of Cane of the Fire Salamander, or just Cane of the Salamander. Being able to use Gil Lapis to tap it and give Ashwin swiftness when she's already rushing down and doing a lot of stuff was an absolute clutch tech. It also, deals 500 damage to me when it comes into play. So if you're trying to kill your opponent fast, Cane of the Salamander works really, really well with Ashwin. And then you can see the stone base here. It's a little bit of a greedier stone base in terms of stones without magic stone types and the Moonshades to burn himself, but it worked out because we don't really have anyone currently playing Millium at our locals. So that is the list. I don't have a list of this version for Paradox quite yet. But you're obviously going to lose things like Dark Alice, you're going to lose Lucifer's Dante Enters, you're going to lose Cryptid of Tenacious Fire, or you're going to lose Girl Staring At and some of those things in that Tinkerbell, no Tinkerbell. So you have to kind of play around with it a little bit more. I don't know if necessarily if a Rush version still gets to exist in Paradox, but I haven't tooled around with it myself. But you are more than welcome to take this list over to your deck lists in Force the Wind and tool around with it. So we're curious to hear in the comment section down below what you guys would do with Gil Lapis in Paradox. But until next time, this is DMO73 saying class dismissed.